Ever wanted a flying car? Since there isn't one on the market, go ahead and make one. At least, make one that can get you safely from point A to point B. We here at TheRichest are closely watching the highways and byways to see what new inventions are cobbled together in the world's most unique garages. So join us as we put the pedal to the metal and see which homemade vehicles just might replace the current car sitting in your driveway. And while you're here, click that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all the latest inventions in our modern-day industrial revolution. Why not get started with the most evil-looking vehicle on the list? This homemade hexapod has 6 mechanical legs constructed with metal girders and bendable joints. While it doesn't seem like it'll get you anywhere at a quick pace, it can take you in a villainous, gothic, Tim Burton style that recalls the coolest parts of your steampunk fantasy days and the least coolest parts of Wild Wild West. Who are we kidding? Dr. Lovelace's giant spider-like contraption was the best part of that movie, and maybe this homemade hexapod is the best part of this list. Matt Denton, who built the machine, said he got into engineering at an early age, so he was always trying to build something unique and interesting. As a child, his imagination was sparked by the AT-AT walkers from Empire Strikes Back. He later worked on building models for movies and moved on to making about 20 small walking spider-like machines with 6 legs. Powered by a diesel engine, hydraulic pumps move the legs and a computer coordinates the leg movement so the driver is propelled forward. Named the MANTIS, the walker is what set him apart from other engineers and what ultimately got him a job on Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens, where he helped build BB-8. The next device on our list definitely looks homemade. In fact, it looks like it was built for some sort of 60s sci-fi movie and then left outside in the sun for a couple decades. But this newer vehicle can be bought by you, the average consumer, and used in your own downtime. Scuba diver Richard Bennett was looking for a better way to spend longer time underwater. And since his hometown of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin doesn't seem as scuba-friendly as other cities in the United States, he probably had a lot of hours to spend, not scuba diving. Yet, surprise, Bennett had a mission. He needed to get down to the bottom of Lake Michigan because, as the story goes, $400 million worth of Confederate gold was lying off the coast of Poverty Island just waiting to be uncovered. So Bennett molded a fiberglass outer shell into the submarine you see today, one that can descend 130 feet. With repurposed aircraft landing lights for headlights, battery packs to power 2 HP motors, ballast tanks to lower the submarine underwater, and oxygen tanks on board for breathing, this DIY sub can help you find hidden treasure in no time. Perhaps you don't need the money that buried gold can buy, you just need food and sustenance to survive. Well, take some inspiration from this ATV made specifically for hunters. This converted hunting shack is transportable and camouflaged. It attaches to the back of an ATV and only costs its owner $700 and 2 years of his life to construct. And in order to put the hunting booth together, it only takes one person about 3 minutes. It's the perfect aid for a weaker or frailer person who still wants to hunt but can't do it in their old age. And that's exactly why Jerry Sursland put it together, for his elderly dad. The elder Sursland now has the heated metal hunting trailer for his own use, and father and son can go hunting together whenever they wish. Windows offer a 360-degree view of the outside world, meaning that Mr. Sursland is unimpeded in his love for hunting. All he has to do is drive to his destination and relax in the comfort of his propane-fueled heating system and hope that a deer or some other game walks into his field of vision. At least he's got his son to help. If you're tired of land-based travel, then check out this insane contraption. Made of moving propellers attached to poles connected to a bathtub, lifting the vehicle's operator in mid-air. How, you ask? Well, check out the Real Life Guys, a group of men who come up with crazy ideas and try it out for the YouTube audience. The bathtub drone definitely seems like a nerd-fueled fantasy, but in order to make it a reality, they needed to work on the aerodynamics of the device and figure out how many propellers would be needed to levitate the driver. They also likely needed to be careful about the driver's weight, too, since any heavier and it might have been much harder for the bathtub drone's driver to stick that landing in front of that storefront. While some of the video is probably exaggerated in terms of how far this device is able to travel, it's too cool to be faked. Since we don't have access to this particular bathtub drone, looks like we'll have to make our own. Let us know if you have any ideas on how this could be possible, and if all else fails, maybe it's easier to just tie a bunch of balloons to a deck chair and hope for the best. While bathtubs can certainly, surprisingly, make great flying machines, they're not the best for getting around in comfort. Leave that to RVs, which already are pretty tech-friendly since they're basically houses on the move. Most of the RVs on the market aren't as decked out as the vehicle from a Goofy movie, but this souped-up RV is a camper that dreams are made of. Chad Nichols invested 7 months and $9,300 into making an RV that his entire family could enjoy. Each of Chad's kids have their own personal DVD player that folds out from specific locations inside the RV, and their home entertainment system on wheels comes equipped with 6 flat-screen television sets and a movie projector that plays movies outside the camper to be enjoyed under the night sky. This machine obviously needs a lot of Wi-Fi power, not only for internet access but also for the vehicle's remote connection to Chad's music and movie collection back home. But what's crazier to imagine is the fact that not only did Chad pimp this 296 square foot ride, he built the whole thing from the ground up. Buying RV building materials near the family's preferred camping grounds in Angola, Indiana, Chad started with an empty flatbed and kept building until he put the roof on top. In fact, he kept building until his wife told him to call it quits. The opposite of this fancy RV of your dreams is the drivable toilet. Who hasn't been on a long road trip and wished they had a bathroom nearby, only to see the next roadside stop was 20 miles or more away? It's one of the pitfalls of getting in a car and driving long distances. But does the drivable toilet solve the problem? Probably not, as there doesn't seem to be any room to use it. In fact, this toilet, which moves on wheels, is more decorative than anything else. It's too big to actually be a functional toilet, large enough for its driver to sit inside the bowl, and is more for showing than for using. Built by SUDHAKAR YADAV, it's one of many vehicles he's built to look like drivable giant versions of everyday household objects. He even has a drivable shoe and a dining table-shaped car. Why, you might ask? Well, SUDHAKAR explains, when I was young, my friends used to go to the movies and they used to ask me. I always used to skip them and go to the mechanic shop. So instead of watching fantasies on the big screen, he made his own fantasies into motorized machines. And now with over 200 vehicles on his resume, SUDHAKAR can go wherever he wants in whatever style he wants. Taking a step back in terms of style, DAOCHENG created an invention that gets its driver around in, say, a less graceful way than the vehicles with which it shares the road. DAOCHENG has created a mechanical horse. The horse-shaped head in the front of the vehicle makes it look more horse-like than the rest of its carriage allows, but the mechanical horse moves on 4 legs and gets riders from point A to point B, so hey, it beats walking. DAOCHENG was inspired by ZHUGE LIANG, a Chinese leader who ruled nearly 2,000 years ago and who is credited, whether truthful or not, to creating the first mechanical horse all those years ago. At nearly 5 feet high and 550 pounds, DAOCHENG's built a hefty device for the record books, something that stands alongside the mechanical elephant and homemade helicopter he built previously. Reportedly, he had been unsure how to put the pieces together, but stated that suddenly, a few months ago, I had an idea how to solve one of the problems and decided to give it a go. It appeared in the news in early 2015, and while we may not know its horsepower, we'll probably see a lot of wild mechanical horses roaming around after the robots take over. But if a bulky throwback like a mechanical horse is not your thing, then maybe you should stick with a car. A mini car. Well, really, a mini car. This tiny car is just a couple sizes larger than your Tonka truck. Invented by Xu Zhiyun, the Shanghai native had enough of the local traffic. Notorious for its congested streets, Shanghai caused Xu to create a car so small he can barely fit on it. Yet it allows him to weave in and out of cars stuck on freeways and probably sneak under parked tractor trailers in ways that your average height motorcyclist could not. After 2 years of work and a couple $100, Zhiyun's investment is just a little less than 24 inches long and a bit less than 14 inches wide. While it can only reach speeds of 12 miles per hour, this mini car just inches along beside the bigger vehicles clogging the road. But if traffic is that bad, the pumping petrol engine and sound system is enough to keep you going between work and home without pulling your hair out. And hey, if these people can do it, maybe you should consider your own mini tiny baby car too. If you don't have the patience to squeeze your way through traffic, then try building a monster truck to crush the roadside competition. The mini car may seem practical in cities with nightmare traffic, although you should probably wear a helmet. The only problem is when you're done driving it, there's no place to store it. So if you're looking for something that travels at similar speeds and has much more storage space, consider an electric suitcase. LIANG from China's Hunan province built his own suitcase on wheels. The vehicle is just large enough for him to sit on, at a similar length and width of the mini car we just spoke about, and it hits top speeds of 12 miles per hour. He just needs to make sure he drives it for 3 hours at most because it only goes 35 miles on a single charge. The positive for LIANG is that his vehicle exposes him to fresh air, and his battery power means he's not polluting the air around him with his luggage's emissions. The negative is that he has competition. MODOBAG, created by an American businessman based in Chicago, is a motorized suitcase that comfortably fits a rider on top. It may cost $1,000 to ride, but its cushy seat sits atop a carry-on sized bag equipped with a USB hookup. The most practical car on this list comes from Manhattan. It's not a mini automobile and it isn't a handbag on wheels either. While it looks like the kind of automotive you'd see in a stock car race, it's actually a vehicle made from other parts and somehow manages to maneuver through the crowded streets of New York City. Its owner is a self-professed car enthusiast named Doug Manowitz, who built it in his building's basement. He added a 72-volt motor of a forklift to a VW's base frame and created a zero-emission electric Frankenstein's monster of a car. He also built another car using a Harley-Davidson fender and a Jaguar XJ6 grille. While his two cars may not be as effective as your average automobile purchased from a local dealer, they're more environmentally friendly and they get Doug around the city without a hitch. He uses them for his daily commute, and both cars reach the regular speed limit of 55 miles per hour within a 30-mile radius. All he needs to do is remember to bring his extension cord with him wherever he goes. Since Tesla charging stations are more common around the city and electric-friendly establishments also offer him a hookup, he's usually able to recharge without a hitch. And being in NYC, if he encounters any major issues, he can always just hail a cab. So now that you've seen these crazy pieces of modern-day imagination, do you have your own ideas for the perfect vehicle? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And while you build your dream getaway car, stay tuned to TheRichest for more videos about mind-blowing creations and shocking breakthroughs. See you next time!